Hello everyone, and just a heads up, this video is going to be a long one this week, so I hope you're in a comfortable chair. How things are going to work this week is I'm pretty much just going to overlay video footage from the Italy trip, and when I'm not really talking about anything in particular, it's just kind of random stuff that I thought was cool and that you guys might like to see. I've just got a crap ton of video footage, and so I figured that would be better than, just like the face shots with me talking. That might not be quite as interesting. So also how this is going to work this week is I'm kind of going to go backwards and then forwards, kind of like the India Seinfeld episode. So starting out, yesterday was Wednesday. I had my first class at the HOADTRIP. It was an engines class. I pretty much knew everything that was being talked about, and the only problem really was that there was two classes that were scheduled for the same room, so we kind of had to move around, but it all worked out in the end. Let's see, the day before that was Tuesday, and I didn't really do much on Tuesday except run a few errands, and then I had a meeting at the HOADTRIP with a professor and one of the people from the international office to go over my schedule for the next following 4 months. And Monday I pretty much spent a whole day on the train as I came back from Stuttgart into Saarbrücken. Also, just as a disclaimer, all this video footage is sped up by 3 times its speed. I was actually not quite this reckless on these mountain passes. So now we're going to start going forward from last Thursday. I got a rental car, and shockingly enough, it was not an Audi A3. This is video footage from a Opel Astra. But after I picked up Ashley and Dawn, we are on our way down to Zurich, and look at all the beautiful fall colors. Just by the way, there's going to be a few tunnels in this video, and here's the German and Swiss border. Quite a bit easier to get through than the Mexican-American border, I'm just assuming. After we came through another tunnel again, we were in Zurich. So how it kind of works is that we got an apartment to rent online, and we stayed with a very nice lady, and it's actually that one right there on the corner. And then we kind of walked around at night after our dinner, but you can't really see anything because it was dark out. So we came back the next day for a little while and walked around.
Put it back in here. Are you taking a video?
No,
I think you are.
I am.
Come here, give this to me. Is this still recording? Yes. Stand there, look at the beautiful background. Yay! You can use this in your video.
I can. And I did. What up? Yeah, so Zurich was actually a really pretty city, even though it was kind of cloudy and rainy out. It was right on this river, which led right into this lake. Hey, Ashley.
Are you videoing?
Hold on. Everyone look like you're having fun. Yeah, they had to act like they were having fun the whole time. But here's a final view from Zurich, from atop the city wall, and then we are on our way to Lucerne, which was a city that Dawn wanted to see. Shockingly, we had to go through a couple of tunnels, more than one. But actually, when you got outside of the tunnels, it was absolutely beautiful. We were starting to get into the Alps, and here is Lucerne, another small town built right on a river right next to a lake. We climbed up on the city wall again and took a few looks out, and this is from one of the top of the towers on the wall, and you can see the lake and the river in the background, just absolutely beautiful. Then we climbed down and we went across this bridge here, which was built back in the 1640s, and that date may or may not be accurate. And then we thought, well, hey, we haven't taken enough steps already today, so let's climb up the side of this mountain, because there was this cool castle looking building, which we later found out was a hotel. And then Ashley decided to steal my camera.
Meow. Meow, meow. You're gonna hear my weird sound effects. I'm hoping you take the sound out of this.
Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that for you, Ashley, and what I'm going to do is commentate all of the video footage that you took. And yes, looking great there, Ashley. Thank you for taking this video footage of the backside of this hotel and all these trees here that are looking dead because it's fallen, all the leaves are falling off. This beautiful gray apartment building. Wonderful. Make sure you get plenty of footage of the parking lot. Oh yes, and go to that other parking lot, because definitely that is very important stuff that we need to see. There was construction going on. Yeah, there you go. Get all the construction on the hotel. Good job. Good job. More shaky camera work. Hey, give us a little commentary here, why don't you? Yeah, we couldn't understand that because you sound like a squirrel. Hey, what does that sign say? Again, couldn't understand you. You sound like a squirrel.
You'll never know until you watch the video.
Hey, and look at that, now we know. And on the way back down, we decided to take a trail instead of the stairs that we took originally. Dawn was lagging behind because she didn't have the right shoes on, but it was okay. And then we found this cool bridge overlooking this waterfall. And that was Lucerne. So then we were back on the road on our way to Lake Como, Italy. The Autobahn had a little bit of stau or traffic, and so we decided to take some of these back roads, and damn, I am glad we did because they're really fun to drive. I know I said I wasn't going to do any more tunnels, but that one was quick, but this one's not, so I'm going to cut it out. Bridge. But just look at the view and the mountains and the roads and these small towns. On the left is the Autobahn, which we were not sitting in traffic on, and then we just stumbled across this little tiny town just kind of nestled in the Swiss Alps. Let's check this place out. This is like why I want to come here. How beautiful that is. Mike, you are right. That is a beautiful sight indeed. We continued on through this tiny little town nestled in the Alps, and we are in search for Fucra Pass, and I'm probably just butchering that pronunciation, but it was dubbed one of the best driving roads in the world, and we come across it and it was closed. So sad. So we had to backtrack all the way back to the Autobahn, which actually wasn't too bad because I had fun driving back down the mountain, but then we had to sit in the stau for a little while. Yeah, not too much fun there. But then we finally got to Italy. This is Italy here, but it was raining and it was dark when we got there, and so there's not a lot of footage. But then the next morning we woke up to this, just straight up rain. And this is also sped up a little bit, but man, look at those clouds just moving in. They meant business. It was not too cool looking for the day. But despite the cold and the rain, we ventured on and we took this ferry to Bellagio, which is on the tip of the peninsula in the middle of Lake Como. And you can just see it was raining. It was not looking too good for the day. It was kind of cool to see all the mountains and the fog and the clouds. But again, it was quite cold and rainy, so it could have been better. But just like in Michigan or Indiana or any other state, it just cleared up, just like out of nowhere. And it was 70, it wasn't 70 degrees, but it was nice and sunny. We took this path down to this beach here, which I thought was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. With all the sailboats and the clouds right up against the mountains and the water, it was just absolutely magnificent. We stayed here probably about a half an hour just hanging out with these ducks here. That's Cleveland, and Patrick behind him, we made friends with the ducks. And there's Stanley. We exchanged numbers, and the next time they're in town, we're going to get together and have a beer. So, yeah, just look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. The water was just absolutely crystal clear. Here, check this out. It's just runoff from the snow-covered Alps, and there's no industrial factories to pump pollution into it, and it was just crystal clear. The birds were chirping, the sun was out and shining, and it was just absolutely beautiful. We had to leave a little earlier than I would have liked just because we kind of had to get on the road, and we had like a 6-hour drive ahead of us at least. Hey, Ashley and Dawn, what are you thinking of this?
Just a hair whistling in the wind.
It was absolutely amazing. The water and the hills were just really cool, and then there was just like these typical Italian villages just thrown up against the landscape. Well, if it meets Mama Dawn's approval, it certainly meets mine. And we were back on the road. We didn't really have a destination. We didn't have anything lodging-wise reserved. We had something lined up and then it fell through, so our decision was to just sleep in the car. So we were just going to kind of drive as far as we could and sleep in the car during that night. And the only thing that I really wanted to do was drive through another pass. Stelvio Pass in Italy, I've heard, is just one of the best places to drive through, and I wanted to find it, and it said it was open on the GPS. I was all excited. But getting there anyway was not a bad view, as you guys can see here. A little bit more about Lake Como. We stayed with this lady, Anna Maria, and she was super nice, just a super jovial person. And she gave us breakfast in the morning and told us like what we should do around the town. She was just absolutely great. And here we are at Stelvio Pass. It's closed. It's like, oh my gosh, there's like 2 roads I wanted to go on, and it's closed. But guess what? There was there was a hole in the gate, and so we were able to get through. But yeah, it was not really drivable. This was like the bottom, and it was already covered in snow. Plus, I don't know if you guys could see. Yeah, well, you can't, and that's the thing. It's because that's all fog and more storms of snow coming. But we drove up to the first bend, and here was the view from Stelvio Pass. So I can say I drove on Stelvio Pass, even though I didn't really get the full experience. And then we had to drive like an hour and a half back to the interstate to where we were. And it wasn't really that bad. I didn't really mind it. It was absolutely great. The roads were really cool. The only bad thing was once it started getting dark is when we started to get back into the Swiss Alps, and it was a little bit shaky. It wasn't the coolest thing in the world. There was a lot of snow on the roads, and it was blowing and stuff like that, but I made it through. We made it to Shua, where the three of us spent the night in the car, and that was probably, I would describe that as the best night of sleep I've ever had. That's for sure. There's a pun. After our great night of sleep in Shur, we then headed up to Friedrichshafen, Germany, where I was going to meet Peter and Martin, two fellow interns that I worked with last summer at MTU, and it's right on the Bodensee, which is also just absolutely gorgeous. So after a great lunch with Martin and Peter, we then headed back up to Stuttgart, where we returned our rental car, and we went to the Cannstatter Volksfest, which is pretty much the Stuttgart equivalent of Oktoberfest in Munich. There was tents, and there was bands, and there's people dancing. There's Quasi and Scott in Alaska, and then there's Ashley, of course, and Dawn. But you already know them. And there was fireworks, and there was rides, and then we went up to the top of the Ferris wheel, and we could see out over across the whole fest. It was pretty good way to end the weekend, I'll say that.